صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام ميم. تنزيل الكتاب لا ريب فيه من رب العالمين. أم يقولون افتراه بل هو الحق من ربك لتنذر قوما ما أتاهم من نذير من قبلك لعلهم يهتدون. الله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وما بينهما في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش. ما لكم من دونه من ولي ولا شفيع أفلا تتذكرون. يدبر الأمر من السماء إلى الأرض ثم يعرج إليه في يوم كان مقداره 1000 سنة مما تعدون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على رسول الله وآله الأطهار. على رسول الله وآله الأطهار صلوات. اللهم صل على. Assalamu alaikum jami'an. Inshallah we'll continue our program with the English lecture by Sayyid Saleh Qazwini بعد الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. There is no doubt that the internet and social media have changed the world. Within the past 20 years, we've seen a major shift in the way people communicate with one another, in the way people take their news, in the way people socialize, interact, the way people shop. Everything has changed as a result of the internet and the social media. The social media satisfies an innate need that every single one of us has, and that is the need to communicate, the need to socialize. We all are born with that need. Every single one of us has a need to socialize and be around people. And social media is a tool that helps satisfy that need for many people. And year after year, we see there's an increase in the usage in social media, in the internet, and in these social media platforms. According to statistics, 7 out of 10 Americans use social media on a daily basis. In America, the average time that individuals are using social media platforms is at least 3 hours. And in the world, 53.6% of the world's population use social media. And the average usage globally is 2 hours and 25 minutes. Now, Instagram has 1.2 billion monthly users. 1.2 billion monthly users. Facebook has 2.74 billion monthly users. 2.74 billion. Twitter has 353 million users. YouTube has 2 billion monthly active users. And TikTok, the newest one, which I guess I'm too old for, is the one that has the most downloaded app in 2020, with 689 million people using TikTok. Now, social media is a good thing and it's a bad thing. There's a lot of good usage to it, and there could be a lot of negative usage. There could be a big obsession with it. There could be a lot of abuse with it. And in some ways it's good, in some ways it's helpful, and in other ways it's not. Some of the pros of social media and the internet and Facebook and all of that we have access to right now is that you're connected with the world. With one click of a button, you're connected with people on the other side of the world. You know what's going on in Karbala, you know what's going on in Iran, in Iraq, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, in Lebanon, in the Muslim countries. You know what's going on anywhere. It happens right away, you find out about it. The whole world is connected. It's all one global village. And we are all connected with one another. And this is a good thing. You know, the narrations that talk about Imam al-Mahdi, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-sharif, say that when he reveals himself, everyone will know. Everyone will find out. So before, 100 years ago, probably 50 years ago, people used to wonder, how are people going to know? How are people going to know that Imam al-Mahdi has revealed himself? Now, with social media, with satellites, with technology, we understand that it's something that's totally possible. It's something that's very possible, something happening on the other side of the world, and we know about it within seconds. We know about it within minutes. That's something that's very possible. So, perhaps the narrations that a lot of people did not understand just 50 years ago, just 100 years ago, they were saying, how could people find out when the Imam reveals himself? Perhaps social media is the answer. For now for us, it's not something that's very difficult to comprehend. Same with movies. Same with everything being recorded in a small drive. One of the characteristics of the Day of Judgment, one of the qualities and characteristics of Yawm al-Qiyamah is that everyone will be able to see their whole life playing in front of them. Before, people would be like, how? How can I do that? That's something that's impossible. How can we see our whole life playing in front of us? Right now, it's something that's using technology. It's something that's very easily possible. We could comprehend it because we see it right now. We see terabytes and gigabytes all stored in one small drive, or in the cloud, they're all stored. So if the cloud or Facebook or TikTok or all of these platforms, they have access to all this information, Allah who created everything doesn't? Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also has access to all of our lives, and everything that we do is there. Social media helps people connect with one another, especially during the time of the stay-at-home order, during those who are quarantining. You're able to connect with your family. You're able to connect with your loved ones. You're able to pick up the phone, turn on FaceTime, and you see your family while you talk to them, and they're somewhere else. They're in a different country. They're somewhere very far away, and you're able to connect with them. This is a good thing. This is a very positive thing. Another positive feature, another positive thing of social media and the internet is that you have access to information. Before, people, if they wanted to seek knowledge, they would have to get up and travel and leave their families so that they can seek knowledge, so that they could learn. Today, you have knowledge and access to information at the tip of your fingers. You have access to lectures. You have access to books. You have online houses. You have seminaries. You have programs, classes that are being taught in Qom and in Najaf and other places in the world. You could see them right now. You could watch them right here, right now. This is some of the blessings of the internet. Right now, a lot of people are at home watching live during the month of Ramadan. Now, this is a good thing, and it's also a bad thing, because we have a right, we have a haqq towards our mosques. The places of worship have a right upon us. Now, yes, some people, they can't come all the time, but make an effort to not leave and neglect the mosques. Because one of the things that will complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment is a masjid that is left empty. A place of worship that people don't come and pray in anymore because people are too comfortable sitting on their couches. But yes, one of the blessings of social media is that we're able to air live lectures for people watching all over the world. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Another blessing, of course, for some it's a blessing and for others it's a backbreaker. And that is the shopping. Online shopping. It's good, it's comfortable, you're in your house and you just scroll and then you click, buy, purchase, swipe to purchase, and 2 days later or a day later, or sometimes even quicker, you find whatever you ordered, it's right in front of your house. So this is a good thing for some and a backbreaker for others. Depends who you are. Movies. Right now, a lot of people before, just 10 years ago probably, or 5 years ago, people used to go to the movies. People used to go out to watch a movie. Now, you have streaming movies. You could stream them. As soon as they come out, you could watch them on your phone, in your house. So, this is something that comes out of the internet. Another is awareness, raising awareness and activism. Many movements arise, and groups of the movement or leaders of the movement and members of a movement are able to communicate with one another. They're able to do a call to action. I was reading that yesterday's verdict regarding George Floyd, if it wasn't for pressure from the people, online pressure, then perhaps the case would have been ruled different. The verdict might have been different. But because there's pressure from people using the internet, using social media, you're able to raise awareness to certain issues. You're able to bring light to certain issues. In 2011, there was the Arab Spring. One of the factors that contributed to the Arab Spring was the usage of the internet. You see that countries that there was free internet, they were able to succeed, or they were able to get their message across. So the use of social media is very important. Now, of course, there's also this thing that they call hashtag activism. And that is when people, they feel that, you know what, I haven't shared a responsibility. I haven't done enough for this group of people. I haven't spoke out against the injustice. So how do I speak out against injustice? I go and I hit a like button. And that's it. I go and I sleep happy because I hit the like button of this organization, then that means I did my share. No, of course, that's not enough. Yes, you are supposed to speak out. You're supposed to have real activism. Sometimes we manipulate ourselves by telling us that we had activism by just tweeting something or just writing something. No, you need to actually make a difference. You need to actually make a change in your society, in your community. We spoke about Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi al Munkar last night, and enjoining the good. And we need to take action. It can't be just, yes, one tweet here, one picture there, one post there, and that's it. You think that you've already done your job. It takes more of an effort. So these are some of the positive things as a result of social media. A lot of good things come as a result of it. We're able to communicate with one another. We're able to connect with one another. However, there are also many harms. There's also a lot of challenges that arise as a result of social media. For some people, you find that there's an obsession with social media. They're addicted to it. It controls their life. It controls their mood, their happiness or sadness. It's based on what they see online and how they connect with people and what they happen to see while they're going through their Facebook page or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. So we also need to be careful with that. We mentioned that social media gives you access to information. The internet gives you access to information. A lot of good information, like lectures, like books, but there's also a lot of bad information. And this is why we need to create filters for ourselves. We need to be careful what kind of information we're allowing to enter in our minds and our hearts. The information that you consume, it has an impact on your soul. It has an impact on your anxiety. It has an impact on your outlook and your approach towards life. Your thoughts impact your moods, and your moods impact your behavior. Where do we get our thoughts from? Just because I read something online, or just because I saw a clip online, it was nicely edited, doesn't mean that it's accurate information. Doesn't mean that it's healthy information. We have to create filters for ourselves. We have to be very careful what we allow to go into our minds, what we see, and the information that we consume. Allah says in the Quran, فَلْيَنْظُرَ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَىٰ طَعَامِهِ. Let every individual look at their food. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, he says, فَلْيَنْظُرُ الْإِنسَانِ إِلَىٰ عِلْمِهِ مِنْ أَيْنَ يَتَعَلَّمَهُ. The tafsir of this verse, the Imam says, let every person look at their knowledge. Where do you take your knowledge from? Where do you take your information from? A lot of people, they go and they watch certain things and they're being brainwashed without they even realize. Without realizing it. They're being brainwashed. They're being brought away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their faith is slowly being chipped away. Their values are slowly being taken away from them and they don't even realize it. They think they're just entertaining themselves. They think they're just having a good time. We have to be very careful what information we allow to come into our minds, into our hearts. What information we consume. Just as we are very careful with our food, فَلْيَنْظُرُ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَىٰ طَعَامِهِ. No one wants to eat filthy food. No one wants to eat dangerous food. No one wants to eat poisonous food. Why do we allow poisonous thoughts to come into our mind? Why do we allow dangerous thoughts to infiltrate and come into our mind and bring us away from our Lord and bring us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is a very important question. We have a duty. This is why it's haram for us to go and seek information or knowledge that we are not able to defend our faith. Yes, Islam allows seeking knowledge. Seeking knowledge is very good. But if you're going to learn a subject that you are unable to defend your faith, you have to go learn how to defend your faith and then you go and you learn that subject. Or you go and you attend classes in the universities. This professor, with all due respect to professors, a lot of them don't care about values, don't care about ethics, don't care about morality. Now, yes, many of them do, but there are some that are careless. They don't care what they're telling you. So you have to be very careful what kind of information you're consuming. Some people, they go to universities and they end up leaving, graduating as atheists. They end up graduating as agnostics. Go and learn about your faith. Now, our faith is a very logical faith, as we mentioned. Our faith can be proven. Our faith, you can debate your faith. But you need to go and learn. If you don't go and learn it, you don't go and seek knowledge, you don't go and do tafaqquh fil ilm, tafaqquh fil deen, then you won't be able to defend your faith. So this is a very important issue. There's a lot of information online and we have to be very careful what we consume. Now for the adults, a lot of the adults, they're safe, alhamdulillah. They say, no, I'm already an adult. I make up my mind. I make up my decision. Do you know how much advertisement and how much information is directed towards children, to indoctrinate children, to bring the children away from their faith, to come and teach the children a different set of values that go against their values, the values of their parents and the values of their religion? A lot of kids are losing their faith. A lot of kids are being indoctrinated to reveal their body and dance in front of the camera. Right now, what is this TikTok thing? It's a trend where we see young girls and young boys, young kids. What do? They sit in front of a camera and all they're doing is dancing and revealing their body. This is something that's haram. They're teaching. It's slowly being taught to these children that if you want to be accepted, if you want to be cool, then this is what you have to do. You have to reveal your skin. You have to reveal your body. You have to dance like these individuals who, don't have a lot of morality and ethics. This is what you have to do. This is why we have to be very careful. Just because there's a dance video, just because there's a music video out there, or there's something online, doesn't mean it's a good thing. A lot of the adults, they comprehend that, but the children don't. This is why it's a duty on the parents to make sure that they filter what's going on, what kind of information is consumed. Second, there's a lot of fake news online. Just because something is printed and something is on a website, something is sent in a WhatsApp message, doesn't mean that this is accurate. Doesn't mean that this is real. There's a lot of fake news accounts. There's a lot. And even, 4 years ago, they were talking about how it influenced the elections. This is not something that we're talking about. This is what's in the news. They were saying that the elections were impacted as a result of fake news. So we have to be very careful. Just because we read something on Facebook doesn't mean it's true. Just because I got a WhatsApp message saying something, that does not give it legitimacy, that does not make it true. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِن جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا أَن تُصِيبُوا قَوْمًا بِجَهَالَةٍ فَتُصْبِحُوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلْتُمْ نَادِمِينَ. There's a story behind this. And the verse says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, O you people who believe, إِن جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ, if a fasiq, if a sinner, someone who does not care about the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, comes with news to you, جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Go and double check. Go and make sure what this person told you is true. فَتَبَيَّنُوا أَن تُصِيبُوا قَوْمًا بِجَهَالَةٍ, because you could make a judgment against a group of people wrongfully. فَتُصْبِحُوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلْتُمْ نَادِمِينَ, and then you will be regretful. There was a man, Al-Walid ibn Uqbah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sent him to go and see a tribe that has just joined the religion of Islam and ask them to give their zakat. So Al-Walid ibn Uqbah, he goes to Bani al-Mustalaq. Bani al-Mustalaq, he goes to them and he tells them he wants to see that, he wants to ask them for their zakat, and they begin to welcome him. And he sees that they're reciting the adhan, they're praying, they're upholding their values. They were not Muslim, then they joined the religion of Islam. But because he had personal problems with them, he had a personal vendetta against them, so what does he say? He goes back to Rasulullah and he says that they are not Muslim. Irtaddu. They left the religion of Islam and they're refusing to give zakat. He made up a lie. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa he did what any leader would do. He went and he saw that as an act of war from them. So Rasulullah, he sent someone else. He sent others to go and see the truth behind this. They go, they see that these people are praying, these people are reciting the Quran, these people are doing adhan, they're upholding the religion of Islam. Then Rasulullah finds out that Al-Walid ibn Uqbah was lying. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa the Quran comes down upon him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down with this verse. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِن جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. When a fasiq comes with news, go and double check. Today some people, they come and they bring this information, I don't know where they got it out of, misconceptions or things that have no foundation, that have no facts. And then you tell them, where'd you hear this from? Oh, I read it on Facebook. As if Facebook is, a reliable source. Or I got a WhatsApp message. I got it from WhatsApp. Just because you got it from WhatsApp, millions of people, billions of people are using WhatsApp. Who sent you the message? Where did you get it from? And some people, they just forward messages without even checking. Without checking if it's authentic, if it's true, if it's not. This has caused problems for many people. Right now in some countries, even in the United States, but in other countries, it's hit them more. People, millions of people are dying every day because of COVID. Why? Because they refuse to go and get vaccinated. Why? Because they got a message on their WhatsApp saying that, for example, if you get vaccinated, you'll be sterile. If you get vaccinated, then this will happen. Something that is not factual. Now, yes, there are some who have raised concerns, legitimate concerns regarding some of the vaccines. Go and check with the CDC. Go and check with an organization, a reliable organization. Don't come and tell me I got it on Facebook or on WhatsApp. We have to be careful. The mu'min, the believer, is a person who is fatan, who is smart, who is not fooled easily. Today we find a lot of people, they're gullible. One message or one post on Facebook will shake all their foundations. It will take them away from God. We have to go and double check and be very careful from the fake news. And that's something that is, there's so much of it online and on social media. A third point, what you see online is not always real. A lot of people, they come and they want to live their lives based on what they saw online, what they saw on that person's Instagram page, what they saw on this person's Facebook page. Just because you saw something online does not mean that that is a true representation of their lives. You know those selfies? You look at it, you see it's one picture. Some people, they take hours working on a selfie until they get the right angle, and then they take the picture. It's staged. But for the world, it looks like a picture-perfect life. When people look at it, they say, oh, this person's life is so nice. Her life is so perfect. Look at it. It's a picture-perfect life. That picture-perfect, it took them hours to work on that picture. That picture was staged. Even the ones taking the picture, they don't even have that life. So we need to be very careful. What you see online is not real. And right now we see there's an obsession with some people in showing that they have a perfect family online. Inside the house, his or her family is falling apart, but online they want to make it seem like they have a perfect family. Instead of going and working to please other people who are scrolling through their Instagram account, go and please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go and work to make your family a healthy family, instead of just focusing on pictures. And this is why right now there are many studies that show that there's a correlation between social media and mental health issues. A lot of people are having mental health problems. A lot of people are suffering from anxiety and depression because of what they saw online. Or because they have an obsession and addiction with showing that they have a perfect, picture-perfect lifestyle in front of the world. When they don't, when their life is falling apart, it creates anxiety and depression for many people. This is one of the cons, one of the bad things that come out of social media. And it's not really social media, it's people. People need to change their attitude. They need to not be controlled by posts here and there. Some people are obsessed with likes. If someone wrote a good comment, that makes your mood happy. If someone wrote a negative comment, that's going to destroy your whole day. Who cares about what people are writing online? Go and make sure that Allah is pleased with you. Go and make sure that your family that's sitting next to you, they're pleased with you. Some people, their family is with them, but they don't care about that. They just care about those who are online, those who are away from them. That is something that will destroy families. That will be something that destroys relationships, destroys marriages. Having one good friend who you can socialize with is much better than having thousands of fake friends. Thousands of friends who are just your online friends. What are they going to do to you? You need a real friend. But a lot of people, they're obsessed with this online clout and online popularity. Popularity online won't do so much for you. You have to focus on your own relationship. You have to focus on your own happiness, your relationship with God, your relationship with people with you. Let the husband and wife focus on each other rather than other people. Let the household focus on containing and perfecting the house instead of focusing on what other people are going to say. Who cares about what other people think? Make sure that those who are with you are pleased and happy. Today, some people, they have a false sense of connection because they're online. They think that I have this many followers, then that means I'm the most popular person. And then you go out and you see this person's eating alone, they have no friends. Right? We have to make sure that we don't have this false sense of connection. And we are all in need of friends. We are all in need of socializing, real friends, people that you see. Now, yes, right now, during COVID, during the, social distancing, it's a little bit difficult to go out with your friends. But having one friend who you could see one-on-one, talk to, is much better than and much healthier for you than having hundreds of friends online who you don't see and you don't connect with. There's actually scientifically proven, it says that when you have in-person contact with one another, this triggers hormones that alleviate stress and make you feel happier, makes you feel healthier, and it makes you feel more positive. My dear brothers and sisters, we need to control our feelings. We shouldn't allow others or other outside forces to control how we feel. A lot of people that suffer from anxiety, from depression, from stress, a lot of times you go and you talk to them, you see that someone else or their moods are changing as a result of other people, as a result of a post online, as a result of a comment, because they don't feel liked or they don't feel that they have followers. We have to be very careful. Once we understand the reality of life, then we're going to see what really matters and what does not matter. Let me give you this beautiful story from Prophet Isa alayhi salam, from Jesus. One day Jesus, he was traveling with his disciples, and they reached a place where they said, there's a treasure here. There's a treasure somewhere in this location. So they said, we're going to stay here for a few days and we're going to dig until we find the treasure. So Isa alayhi salam, he tells them, you guys do what you have to do. I'm going to go to this town. There, I'm going to find my treasure. I'm going to find the treasure in the town. They didn't know what he was talking about. He goes in the town and he stays in a house of an old lady. She has her son. And at that time, they didn't have hotels. They didn't have inns. They stay at this house. He stayed with them. And in the house, there's this old lady and her son. He comes to work every day in the evening. He came home, the son, he looks like he's stressed. He looks like he's full of anxiety. He's not happy. So his mother, she comes to him and she tells him, why don't you go and talk to this man who's staying with us? She doesn't know it's Jesus. She tells him, why don't you go and talk to this man? He seems like a good person. Maybe he could uplift your spirits. Maybe he could fix your problems. He tells her, my problems are too big. How can this man come and fix my problems? She says, go and talk to him. You have nothing to lose. And this is a good thing. Sometimes you just go and talk to people. Of course, someone who is qualified, someone who has the signs of faith and iman. So the young man, he tells Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he tells him, I have a very big problem. And that is that I'm poor. I don't have anything. My job is I go and I pick up wood, small pieces of wood and sticks, and I sell them to people so that they could light fire. So, doesn't have a very big job. He tells him, one day I was passing by the house of the king, or the king, and I saw his daughter, and I fell in love with his daughter. Now I want to marry the princess. So this is my problem. Look at me. I'm poor. I'm miserable. I don't have anything. And I fell in love with the princess. And this is controlling my mood. It's controlling my behavior. It's making me feel sad and full of anxiety. Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he tells him, so why don't you go and propose? Go and ask for her hand in marriage. He tells him, you want me to go and propose to the princess? Look at me. I have nothing. Prophet Isa tells him, you won't know what happens if you don't try. Go and try. The king, he sits once a week. He sits and people, they line up to talk to him. You go and talk to him. Go, get in line and talk to him. So the young man, he says, okay, I have nothing to lose. He goes and he stands in line. People, they're talking to the king, one after the other, until his turn comes. He tells him, O king, your highness, I came to marry your daughter. I want to propose to marry your daughter. The king tells him, you want to marry my daughter? I will give you my daughter if you bring me a bag of gold and silver, a huge bag of jewelry. So the young man, he left and he became even more depressed. He became even more full of stress and anxiety. He goes to Prophet Isa alayhi salam and he tells him, see, I told you it was a bad idea. I went and he told me I have to bring this much gold and silver and I don't have that. So Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he saw that there were some rocks on the ground. He goes, by the permission of Allah, those rocks all turned into gold and silver, right? Isa alayhi salam, he used to raise the dead. So Prophet Isa, by the permission of Allah, he was able to turn those rocks into gold and silver. He tells him, go and take this bag and give it to the king. The young man, he becomes very happy. He just sees something strange in front of him. He takes the bag, he goes to the king. The king tells him, I want another bag. So he goes, he asks Prophet Isa, he gives him another bag, and then he goes to the king. The king tells him, I'll give you my daughter to marry. That's it. I'll give you my daughter to marry. The next day, Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he comes and he does the wedding. He does the nikah of this man with the princess. He ends up marrying her. That night, he marries her. The next day, the king dies. The king dies. This young man, who was miserable, who had nothing, he ended up marrying the princess, and the next day, he becomes the king. He is wearing the cloak and the crown of the king, and he's sitting on the chair of the king. And Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he comes to him and he tells him, okay, now it's my time to leave. I'm leaving. This young man who has just become a king, he tells Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he tells him, you were able to transform my life. Within 2-3 days, you were able to transform my life. I wasn't married, you got me married. I was poor, you made me rich, and I became king. And it was you who had that impact on my life. Why don't you do it to me? Why don't you do it to yourself as well? Why are you living such a humble life? Why are you living such a life where you are away from the dunya? Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he had no house. He had no roof above his head. And he had no blanket. Or he had no pillow. He would sleep on the earth. Prophet Isa alayhi salam, he tells him, the one who knows the reality of this life, and the one who knows that this life will come to an end sooner or later, this person does not get attached to this short temporal life. That young man, he said, if that's the truth, then I will take off my crown and I will take off the cloak. He leaves it on the chair and he tells Prophet Isa, I want to be with you, take me with you. So the young man, he left everything and he walks out with Prophet Isa. Prophet Isa, he goes back to the people, his disciples. He tells them, did you find your treasure? Because I found mine. This young man is the treasure that I found and I brought him with me. My dear brothers and sisters, this story teaches us that we should not be impacted by what's going on in our life. If you have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you believe in God, then you control your own fate. You control your own happiness. You do not allow anyone to come and take away that happiness. Happiness belongs in the heart, and your heart is sacred. Don't allow anyone or anything to enter in the heart, especially something that's poisonous, something that will destroy you. So this is, when it comes to social media and internet, a lot of things are not real. What's real is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's real is what God will destine for people and what God gives people. That's what we have to work for. This is one point. Another very important point, my dear brothers and sisters, is that social media, it's good, but sometimes it becomes too time consuming. Sometimes it ends up wasting. Your whole day and night is being wasted because you're scrolling online and looking at the posts of other people here and there. There's screen addiction. Some people, they have that screen addiction. On Instagram, this is according to Instagram, 32 minutes a day is the average time that is wasted or used on Instagram. On TikTok, 52 minutes per day is spent on TikTok, and 38 minutes a day on Facebook. Just people scrolling. What did this person do in their life, and what did that person do in their life? What kind of food they had for iftar? What was their suhoor? What did she wear during that outing, and what did he wear during this outing? That's all. All this time is wasted. This time that you could be productive. This time that could impact your life. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Indeed, we are losing time. Your time is not going to come back to you. That moment that's gone, that's it. That's gone. So make sure that you use it productively. Make sure that you don't waste your whole life looking at the lives of other people. Scrolling through the lives of other people. A few days ago, a young man, he messaged me. And he tells me, I fell in love with a girl because of her profile. I'm following her profile online on Instagram, and I fell in love with her. And now I find that my life is impacted with her by whatever happens. If she answers my messages, I become happy. If she doesn't, I become upset. I find myself, I keep logging on just to go and look at her story. And if I posted a story, I want to see, did she see my story or did she not see my story? And then he tells me, Sayyid, I don't know what happened to me. I don't know what has happened to me. Where I find that my whole time is being wasted and all my energy and happiness is consumed because of one account online. I told him, if you really love her, then go and propose. Go and propose and talk to her. If it works out, then alhamdulillah, congratulations. And if it doesn't, then move on. Move on with your life. Don't waste your life. But he's upset. Why is it that his heart was so attached? I told him, your heart is sacred. Don't allow anything to enter in your heart. Once you feel real love, once you fall in love with real love and you taste real love, and that is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you will not allow anyone and anything, just anyone, to enter in your heart. Be very careful who you allow to enter into your heart. The fifth point, my dear brothers and sisters, is that social media, it could take a lot of the privacy and intimacy from families. There are certain things that are meant to be for the family, within the family, inside the house. It's not everything is meant to be public display. Not everything is supposed to be for everyone to see. But some people, they have the idea that anything that happens, anytime you're on vacation, anything you eat, whatever you do, you let the whole world see. We shouldn't be obsessed with how people rate our lives. We shouldn't be obsessed with what people are thinking. Focus on your life. Focus on your happiness. Focus on the family. A lot of families are breaking apart as a result of Facebook and Instagram and these social media accounts. Because people are obsessed, either looking at the accounts of other people, or they want to present a picture-perfect lifestyle so other people look at their lives. The sixth and final point that I wanted to mention is that a lot of times the laws of hijab are broken. Social media is a good thing. It connects the world. But a lot of times hijab is broken. Some people, they have the idea that hijab is, as long as you're wearing the head cover, then that means that's hijab. A guy does not look at a girl if without the head cover, that's hijab. No, my dear brothers and sisters, that's not all that hijab is. Hijab is the way you talk to someone. Hijab is what you say. Sometimes people, they think just because they're behind the screen, then they become more, they become more confident to say certain things that they wouldn't say in person. Or saying it, they know that this breaks the rules of hijab. This goes against modesty. This goes against chastity. So we have to be very careful. Be very careful with the pictures you post. This picture that you posted, the second you post it, you don't own it anymore. That's it. It's not yours anymore. A lot of people, they change their lives around. then they're living a life of regret because of everything they posted last year, 2 years ago. Everything that they posted, now it's there. Now it's online. They can't get rid of it anymore. This is why we have to be very careful what we post and what we view online. My dear brothers and sisters, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us and make us from those who are protected, who protect our modesty, who protect our minds, who protect our hearts and our souls. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. تابع اللهم بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك غافر الخطيئات. يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم أنت الرب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. وهذا شهر عظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور، وهو الشهر الذي فرضت صيامه عليه، وهو شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان، وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خيرا من 1000 شهر. فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك، من علي بفكاك رقبتي من النار في من تمن عليه، وأدخلني الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. أعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عني شهر رمضان أو يطلع الفجر من ليلتي هذه ولك قبل تبعة تعذبني عليه، ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. والفاتحة مع الصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد.
Thank you, Sayyidina, for that truly insightful and more importantly relevant presentation. Brothers and sisters, before we conclude this evening's program, just a few announcements. But before that, something that you mentioned, Sayyid, very interesting, is that each of us have that intrinsic, innate need to communicate with one another. And what ends up happening is when our younger brothers and sisters, they end up consuming most of this virtual things behind the screen, they get trapped in this virtual world, that when they come to the masjid, because they filled that void, that communication that they require through behind the headset, they come to the mosque and you speak to them during these bonfires, you speak to them during these programs, you say, brother, assalamu alaikum, how are you? Brother, assalamu alaikum, how's everything? How's school? What grade are you in? And that's because this need to communicate is filled behind the screen. So inshallah, for those of us who are physically present, inshallah, we can encourage our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, our friends, especially now that we're moving towards the midway point of the holy month of Ramadan. The first week is done. We're 1/4 of the way there. Inshallah, please encourage your neighbors, encourage your brothers and sisters and your family and friends to join us for these programs. That way, that communication that they require is filled the proper way. A couple of announcements for tomorrow. There is going to be a bonfire session with Sayyid Saleh Qazwini at 11:30 p.m. So please join us for the program at 10 o'clock. And then afterward, we'll head outside for a bonfire. We also have a potluck iftar tomorrow for anybody who's interested in joining. You can RSVP through our Instagram account, Youth of Wisdom, or you could stop by the front office and put your name down, and then hopefully we could break bread with one another. With that being said, please let us recite the Surah Al-Fatiha for all of our brothers and sisters who are in need, all of them who are suffering from the pandemic, all of those who we have lost. those who are suffering from oppression and poverty throughout the world. Let us recite the Surah Al-Fatiha بعد الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, we will see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.